At a high-level UN Security Council meeting hosted by US President Donald Trump, the focus was on weapons of mass destruction. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang welcomed the major progress made over the Korean peninsula.
China supports the important common understandings reached between the DPRK and US leaders at the Singapore summit, and supports the DPRK and ROK in improving their relations. We call upon all parties to seize the current opportunities, turn the political consensus into concrete actions, and work in the direction of setting up a peace mechanism on the peninsula and the denuclearization on the peninsula to realize lasting peace on the peninsula at an early date.
China may not be a primary party to the talks between the two Koreas and between Pyongyang and Washington. But given China's historical ties with the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, Beijing is a stakeholder. At the Security Council this year, we've seen Beijing as well as Moscow push for the easing of sanctions on the DPRK to reward Pyongyang for opening dialogue and suspending nuclear and ballistic missile tests. But the US has maintained that sanctions must stay until Pyongyang takes concrete steps toward denuclearization. On Tuesday, Foreign Minister Wang Yi's bilateral meetings included one with the DPRK's Foreign Minister Ri Yong-ho and another with Foreign Minister of the Republic of Korea, Kang Kyung-hwa. Stephen Noper of the Korea Society says China, which does not believe further sanctions on Pyongyang are necessary, wants to, quote, appear supportive but is also a necessary force for forward progress.
The reality now is that China and the United States are the two large powers whose interests converge on the peninsula, along with Russia and Japan. But with the war realities and the end of war and the idea of a forward-leaning statement, one would think it would bring China into the fold. And the Koreans have said it needs to either be three parties, the United States, North Korea, and South Korea, which is not a signatory to the armistice. But they've also said, by necessity, probably China, too.
Wang Yi also attended a high-level event on the Paris Climate Accord and met with his counterparts from Germany, Ecuador, and the Gulf Cooperation Council. But the DPRK will be back on the agenda Thursday here in New York when Wang Yi attends a special Security Council session on DPRK sanctions and the denuclearization talks. This session will be chaired by U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. Liling, CGTN at the United Nations.